Hello, everybody out there. How you doing? We got a little interview here going on with Brian CRADDOCK from the band Daughtry. He's also the owner of Cat Room Recording Studio. He's coming to us live from Tennessee a little bit. A couple minutes. How you doing there, guys? Let people filter in for a second. Back to Georgia. What's going on, Facebook? Everybody tuning in later. Hello, everybody tuning in right now. What's up? There's a little bit of Brian rocking on the guitar here. You guys ready? We're gonna add him. We're gonna add him in. Here we go. Let's see. I think all you have to do is accept it, Brian. I just added you.
Yo.
There he is. What's up, man?
Just hanging, man. Just hanging. How are you doing?
Good.
Awesome.
What's happening in Tennessee?
Just working on a little music today. Got a couple projects going on right now, but things are still kind of shut down. There's it's slowly starting to open back up, but it's limited still. So there's no live music or anything right now. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Same here.
I don't know how far we're out on that. Tennessee seems to be a little more lax on it, but you're in the heat of it, so.
Yeah, everybody's dying here in New York. It sucks, man. It's really bad.
It does. There's unfortunately no clear-cut answer on any of this stuff, So
yeah.
Hey, nice shirt, by the way.
Thanks. Little product placement. Now, this is like one of the original ones, right? This is from like 5 years ago.
It is. I was wearing that last night while I was lounging around watching Netflix, man. So.
Oh, nice. I've worn it to a couple of gigs before. I think there's some pictures of me somewhere playing with it.
Oh, yeah, I think I've actually seen that. I've seen that. No, yeah. I still like that shirt a lot. We've got our new one that's coming out. Should be shipping them this week, the 10th anniversary one. So, but yeah, it's cool. Thanks for supporting.
Nice.
Appreciate it, man.
So we got Brian here. He's a guitarist from Daughtry, also the owner of Cat Room Recording Studio. Everybody on Facebook, hello. Everybody on Instagram. Everybody on YouTube afterwards, hello. What's going on? I wanted to ask you, so it's been 10 years, right? Let's talk about where did the name, the Cat Room, come from? and how did the journey from, guitar extraordinaire in a band like Daughtry to starting your own studio?
All right, so in a nutshell, the studio actually technically, even though it wasn't that grandiose, I had the studio before I was in Daughtry. I've been messing with music production since my regional band I was in a while before Daughtry called My Dog Lucy. That's kind of what got me into recording. And me and the singer, Shep, we kind of got into Pro Tools at exactly the same time. We literally bought 2 Pro Tools rigs from West LA Music back in the late 90s, and we got a deal on it because we bought 2. And he started, he started his little studio at his music store that has been in his family forever. He built a little area to put a little studio in, and then I actually ended up doing one at my house, which was the very early stages of all this. So it was pretty archaic, to say the least. But anyway, we kind of started working at both of our spots, doing writing stuff for our band, and then we also started producing bands together. And then trying to think what the next step in the evolution was, kind of as time went on, just like yourself, Frank, acquire gear. It starts to get bigger. Yeah. You make money, you buy gear. You make money, you buy gear. That's just that's how it works, right?
Sell some gear, trade in some gear.
Of course.
I think everybody thinks it's overnight, and I go, it's not overnight. No. Not anyway.
It's not overnight. Something tells me I'm not done yet either.
Yeah. Well, you don't know. How do you know until you try it? A lot of stuff.
Yeah, and some things I've gotten and I wasn't happy with, and then there's things I got and I love, and they've stuck with me through the years. But long story short, the name of the studio came from when it was in our old house prior to me opening up the big place in Charlottesville. it was in our kind of back room in the house, and that back room, we we had some kitties, Luke and Leia, and appropriately, and they used to like to pick at our couch, like claw it and like mess it up, and it started kind of getting on me and Holly's nerves, so we kind of confined them, not full time but part time, to the back room in the house, which was sort of coincidentally the studio
you're here.
Yeah, I mean, there was no other appropriate place. Not that was appropriate, but that was the only logical place we could, kind of keep them somewhat away from the furniture. And so, anyway, after my daughter was born, I would be back there working in my studio on something, and in fact, in those days, it was probably like early Daughtry stuff, like Leave This Town demos, And
yeah, I was gonna say,
my daughter would, she would always ask my wife, she's like, "Why is Daddy always going in the cat room?" So
so like,
it just sort of stuck. And to be honest with you, I always kind of liked the name. Now, people do get it confused sometimes. They call it the Cat House. I'm like, nah. Different color, but
yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's the story. That's sort of the story of where the name came from, and yeah, still doing it. It's a it's a recording studio is a sort of tricky business to be in these days, because so many people have the ability to do it at home, and even if you have a place to do drums and they sound fantastic, it's just studios are expensive. They are. Production's expensive. And it's I know I learned to do this stuff because I didn't want to pay people to do it anymore because it was so expensive. It didn't mean any of the people I dealt with were untalented. They were wildly talented. It's just I didn't have the money to pay them. Yeah.
Same boat.
Bro, I get it, man. So that's kind of how I ended up doing it this way. But I'm glad I did, and I've met a lot of cool and unique clients and artists, bands, yourself being one, and it's been a really cool journey. It's been I met a lot of folks through the Daughtry world, but then that world sort of started bleeding over into the recording world too. So I ended up meeting people, friends of friends, that were maybe initially I got, maybe somebody came to me through Daughtry, and then I ended up meeting 10 other people that had no clue that I even did that. They heard about the studio from somebody who maybe did hear of me through the Daughtry world. So it's been cool. Me and my whole family are very blessed to have this in our life. It's been a real blessing in a lot of ways. So we're grateful for it.
I feel the same way, especially right now. It's like you can only do so much, playing out and all that. And especially now with everything shut down, it's like, what else do you have? And at least if you have all this stuff and you're good at it, you can have all of it and not know how it works.
Right.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But I've been lucky where I can do full productions, like you said, except for real drums.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing where you can work with people, you can meet with people, you get your demos down. I'm sure it's handy with you, with your band and stuff like that, where when you go home at night, it's not like, I have to go somewhere to a studio to jot this demo idea down.
Right.
You can just grab your own brand, everybody, of his coffee and drink it and play guitar.
True, man.
I don't drink coffee, so I will never order that.
Yeah. I need to create a new drink, a non-caffeinated drink for you then.
Yeah, or a mint ice cream or something.
I'd be really into that. I'd be really into that.
Yeah. The cats throw up ice cream or something. I don't know. Something gross.
Cat puke ice cream. That sounds disgusting, Frank.
That sounds awesome. I drink this soda. It's called Toxic Slime. I love it. It's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
There's names like that.
Yeah.
So some of the people on here know me. They definitely know you. And how we met is actually at Saratoga through a VIP thing. And it was so weird because I entered the contest to win radio tickets and I didn't win. And I just asked one of my fans, I go, do you think you could enter this? Maybe enter it? I go, maybe you'll win. And she won. So she's like, you want to come with me? And then that's when I met you guys. And you're like, well, I'm the one that records artists. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So we went to Virginia when you had that studio, which was awesome. Yeah. And I actually went back the year later when I went to Myrtle Beach. I stopped in that town. And it was empty. Still had the paint on the walls and stuff like that. It was weird, you know.
It is weird. You know what's funny, Frank? I actually haven't been by there since we left, and I guess it's a little bittersweet. You know, that was like me and some of my friends, and then my father-in-law at the end of it. We finished that by hand, and we did all the work. And I know you know something about this because you and your dad worked on your place together, and so there's like. Yeah. There's a certain amount of heart that went into it as well, beyond just the acoustic treatments and all that stuff, all the technical stuff aside. It was just the heart of the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. And so to leave it was like, it was bittersweet, but it was monumental. It was like, it was a symbol of growth for me because I was going to that next place in life, and it takes courage to give up something. It takes courage to give up something comfortable too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was different, I think, for all of you guys to move together, but a great idea, you know, in the same state.
Yep, exactly.
I think your keyboardist though is still in Rochester. He is. Pretty sure, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He's only like 3 hours from me.
Yep, he's in the COVID land. I mean, we all are, but yeah. New York has it particularly bad. New York, New Jersey. So yeah, it's he's up there too. He was telling me, you know, a week ago or so that it was pretty rough. So
with right now, do you do full drums or do you go to somebody else and have them do it? Or
I don't do full drums anymore. In Nashville, the cool thing about this town is there's a million great studios to do drums in. It sort of seemed
they got the high peak ceilings. Everything's perfect.
Yeah, it sort of seemed like not necessary, you know, because there are so many great places to do it, and you can have the best of gear. You know, like I produced this band with Josh Paul in our thing that we do co-op. These guys from Florida, Outer Edge, and we went over to Blackbird. I don't know if you're familiar with Blackbird or any of the viewers are familiar with Blackbird out there, but it's a fantastic studio. It's owned by John McBride and Martina McBride, or the country artist, and he's been her sound guy / manager.
A lot of bands record there.
Yeah, it's such a fantastic room. I mean, Daughtry did some of Cage to Rattle there. We did all the drums there on Cage to Rattle, and it's just
That's right. I remember seeing the video, you guys together stomping on something to make that noise.
Yep. that was real. Cool. That was real. That wasn't staged footage. That was real stuff. And that room we were in, that Studio D over there, Studio D is like, in my opinion, it's the coolest looking room. I mean, it's just got such a neat aesthetic. You can change the acoustic treatment in the room can change. So there's like, you can have a rock wall in the back. And then there's like this kind of huge, thick red velvet curtain that pulls across that you can dampen that if you want. It's just a really great drum. And the gear they have there, man, they got any kind of drums and cymbals you could imagine, man. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So that's one of the perks to doing drums over there is you have access to some incredible equipment, items that I wouldn't be able to afford. They're so fantastic, you know. So
I try to push that on a lot of people too. A lot of people I record, they're like, why don't we just like, they'll have a friend or something that drums, or they're like, you know, he's got mics at his house. And I'm like, you know, it really get a hold of somebody that has one of those studios like that. Cause I go, it really does start with your drum sound. If you have a bad sound, especially if you're going to use a lot of the room stuff, your recording is not as big as it could be.
Yep, for sure.
And I don't think they get it, but I try to give them an example of some kind, you know? I just say, you know, electronic drums, you want straight electronic, dry, or do you want that spacey?
Yeah, some feel that you're in a space with the kit.
Yeah, it feels real.
Yep, exactly. And I like that too. Yep. And you know, like especially with the rock stuff, that I do. I love that sound. I mean, and I know you're kind of the same thought I am, but like that sort of like Chris Lord-Alge type mix where the drums have this. They are tight, but they have this sort of ambient thing to them as well. One of my favorite.
It's physical air, I think, that's different.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite drum sounds that Chris has mixed was actually on our song Renegade. I love
that's my favorite song.
That drum sound that he got at the you can hear it at the very top of that song. It just, I don't know, it sounds incredible. And it's funny because he mixed my friend's band back in the late 90s, this band called Earth to Andy. And there was a song on their record. If you guys haven't heard that band, you should check it out. They're freaking incredible band. But the drum sound on this one song on their record called Biting at My Heels very much reminds me of that Renegade sound. Obviously, it was mixed by the same guy, but it's not like his go-to drum sound. It was like, it's like a special sound that he only uses every now and again or something. There was something different about it. It was big. It sounded big, almost like Led Zeppelin-esque in the way the drums feel. You know what I mean?
It's that I think of the tom sound, the way the tom sounded. Kind of sounds like that.
Yeah,
I hear it because he mixed the 3 Days Grace stuff and certain parts where it's in there, I can hear that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I mixed all the. I watched one of his master classes live. It was like I mixed, it was like a bunch of those bands, and I'm like, that's every CD that I listened to over the past 10 years
for sure.
And they do kind of sound the same, different artists, but I'm like, why is the mixes like similar? It's the same guy.
It sounds good though. It's like one of those things where if it's not broke, don't fix it. Right? So I mean, he's really great at.
You have his plugins. I have his plugins. I download.
I do. I actually use. I use the I can't remember what they're called, like the suites when I'm doing like quick and dirty, like roughs where I don't want to mess with like tweaking stuff. I'll just throw something on there real quick to get it sounding good very fast. On big projects, I don't do that. But on like right just now, I just finished up like a little rough demo of a song, and I just needed something very quick and dirty and fast. Something that takes me 1 minute literally to pull up, put it on there, and
it's the kind of cool sound.
Yeah, and that way you can send it to people, and if it sounds good, people are excited about it. Like that's one thing with demos. Even with like simple demos, try to make it sound as good as you can. Don't waste a lot of time, but get it sounding as good as you possibly can before you send it out. Because even if it's a great song, if you don't treat it well, people are going to be like, "That song sucks."
Yeah, and that's another thing with working with. I was going to ask you with working with artists. Like I work with a lot that have no experience. It's their first projects, and I have to kind of, as I guess as a job as a producer too. I like to bring out the best, but they don't. There's a certain technique of like, say I were to sing live and I were to sing right now in the studio. There's different techniques. There's different ways of even singing it, and I noticed that's the same thing on guitar.
Yep.
Like a lot of times I go, I can't play the guitar part I want because it sounds too meshy, but live it sounds incredible.
Right.
And so there's almost something you learn over time. There's almost a distinct style to play a certain way, and it comes out sounding that way better. Like I can tell with you playing on my stuff and like the Daughtry records, you have that. It's hard to explain. I know you get it, but the average person won't.
Right.
How would you explain that? It's in your terms.
You mean like playing appropriately for a piece of music? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like it also has to do with sound. So you got the part and you have the sound, and then you have the sound that you like, obviously, but you play it a certain way that it's going to come out thick. It's got whatever.
For sure, and I've definitely got like little tricks that I do. I find myself I do a lot of I don't do this exclusively, but I do a lot of country records these days, and I find in most country songs there's always some sort of like electric guitar theme that kind of carries through the song. It's like a melody. It's a hummable melody, right? But I've got my little trick to sort of like beef those up so that they don't, so that they're not thin sounding. You know, like I love the sound of like a small gritty amp. I love that sound, and I think that when you record it, it does sound awesome. But sometimes when you're going for a big mix, it doesn't take up enough real estate, basically. So I try to layer in stuff that's just underneath it. So the little small amp is the prominent thing, but then there's these intricacies that are underneath it that sort of fatten it out, right? And one of those things
there might be like a Sim 4x12 or something underneath that has like a bottom end.
Yeah. I even use like I use a this is something I do a lot actually. I'll take a whammy pedal and I'll literally layer in me playing the same exact thing, but I'll pitch it up and layer it down underneath, and I'll pitch it down and put both underneath. So then there's like some body, there's some detail and body that are underneath like the core sound that I want in there. So I'll have the core sound kind of right up the middle, and then I'll, lightly pan like 10 to 20 right and left to with the whammy pedal. So there's actually
quite an octave thing.
No, it's not something, I don't want it to be obvious. I want it to be just subtle in the background, but I want the listener to be captivated at the same time. So I find myself doing that a lot on some of those country recordings.
Is that why you sent me? So my CD came out. Bring On the Fear. I got your package ready today. Let's see, the CD's down here.
Nice, man.
So I have my other one is white. So I have a black and white. So a good and evil one.
Cool. That's awesome. I like it.
So you played on. I haven't really talked a lot about the new stuff yet, but the Gone Mad music video is out right now for everybody tuning in. But Brian plays all lead on Virginia, and Brandon's actually does drums. And I was wondering that if the solo if that was your idea, or because I did it where I kept all the octave stuff and the underneath the sound.
Yeah,
sounded cool.
Yep.
But if you say you were to mix that solo, was that necessarily your intention?
Knowing me and what I do, I probably sent it because I thought maybe it needed some texture, at least in certain parts.
Okay.
So, I mean, and I don't, when I do stuff like that, especially on like solos, I won't do it across the whole solo per se. I'll do it in like sections to like make them stick out or jump out at you, Like I don't like doing fast licks layered like that because I think it can get really cloudy really fast. So a lot of times I'll leave like faster licks, kind of singular and up the middle, and then I will take I'll take the octave stuff or the harmonized stuff, and I'll put that sort of on the thematic or the anthemic parts. So, but I do that a lot, and I think what happens is over time you find a toolbox of skills that seem to work for you, and they present well, and people like it. So you stick with those things. You're always learning, as you know, Frank. You're always learning, but you definitely your toolbox to pull from.
Yeah. I noticed in my experience, the rhythm electric guitar is the hardest thing to get right to record. The hard rock music, it's the quality of the song as well. It makes the quality of the song. So if you have great drums and great guitars, you can have okay bass, even okay vocal quality, as long as the performance are there, and you can still have a kick-ass song. But that I've been trying to figure out for years, and finally I'm kind of getting that situation where it's hard because I'm trying to hit the stuff that's on those bigger records in a small format.
Yeah, of course.
So there's little tricks of the trade out there.
For sure. I think like if you're a creative person like yourself, I think you find ways or workarounds to be able to emulate sounds you like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you don't have $1 million studio to be able to capture the sound that you would ideally like to have, you find a workaround either through plugins or through tricks to make
more things.
I'm
wild now. Every guitar part, I have 6 tracks recording right now. At once.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I remember a long time before I was in Daughtry, I remember hearing from my buddy. he was working on a record up in Philadelphia with a bigger producer. I can't remember his name, but I remember they told me they tracked their guitars. It was interesting. They tracked the guitar. It was 3 amps all going at the same time. Every amp had an EQ spectrum that was dialed in. So like the Marshall JMP down on the end had no highs or no mids. The middle amp had only mids, no bass, no treble. And the third amp had only treble and no mids or bass. And so I was like, I actually have never done that. It sounds like it could be cool. It sounds like it might not be awesome all the time, though.
Phase nightmare or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it just sounds like you might miss the target of like capturing the real sound. You know, like it might sound artificial, I guess is what I'm getting
I
at.
could see 2. I know why there's 3, but I could see like 2 different amps at once, and you choose.
For sure. And I've done that a million times.
Yeah. Because they do that with multi-band mixing with guitars, is they throw it up on 4 different spectrums.
Right. And
I've seen videos. I've tried it too, and it actually doesn't come out as well. It's better if you use a regular EQ.
Yep, I agree.
I think. It's too like squashy.
Yep, I agree.
I have those same red curtains in the background. Yeah, I just noticed.
Yeah, no, they're back there. I use that. I track vocals in the room with me these days. There's no more isolating like I used to do, but I do. I have one of those Chaotica eyeballs that it's like it's like a sound dampening tool, and
it fits right in it.
Yep, and it works really well. So I use that, and I'm actually able to get fantastic vocal sounds this way. I prefer being in the room with the singer. It's a lot easier to communicate. Go back and forth with the idea. But that's the reason. That's the reason those curtains are back there, is so that there's no reflections from the back wall. So
I'm kind of the same. I just use vocal shields right now. Got a couple of them. They work pretty good. And then I have I made my own. It's as tall as the ceiling. It's just it's almost like the size of a door. And I just lined it with foam and some different stuff, that you can buy out there. So works pretty good.
No, for sure, man. I've seen there's a lot of guys here in Nashville that have little like vocal booths built that are in their house. It's like it's in the room, but it's like a room that's in your room. But it's cool. I like it. There's tons of this is sort of the land of the home studio. There's some ridiculous home studios here.
Yes.
I wouldn't even catalog them as home, but they are.
Yeah, they're like huge.
Yep.
So everybody tuning in right now from Facebook, everywhere else, thanks for tuning in. We've got Brian for a few more minutes here. Any questions, feel free to throw in right now, and maybe we'll see what's going on here. I know a couple of my Brenda's on there from Florida. What's going on? How you doing?
Up, Brenda?
Got some on Facebook. Mary Ellen, who's in my area, the one I told you that she met me through a garage sale.
Yep, that's
and she's like, I know Brian. She's going to tune too if she's not tuning in right now.
I love it.
That's funny. It's funny because there's 2 or 3 of your fans I'm Facebook friends with, and I go, I'm doing this interview, and she goes, I know Brian. I know. I'm like, all right. Okay.
I love the enthusiasm.
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, my fans, Break These Chains is the fan favorite. That and Set Me Free.
Yeah.
And, I Am Ready.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Break These Chains is a good jam, man.
Yeah, I mean, the way we did, Scotty was, I wasn't sure if he was the right choice for drums at first, but because he kind of has a laid back kind of style in a way.
Yeah, his whole demeanor is sort of laid back.
It's different. I realized it because I have 6 people trying to play it live, and they never quite get it right. It's there. It's there.
He's a beast, man. He's a beast of a drummer, man. He's a PIT graduate. He's toured the world, and he kind of ended up settling on coming back home to Charlottesville, Virginia. That's how I know him. And For
Yeah.
those that don't know, Scotty's brother is kind of a famous big deal too. He's a guitar player on The Voice and with me.
Oh, okay.
So, but
Nice.
he's still out in LA. But yeah, all those dudes, man, I knew them. We all sort of grew up together. You know, I worked at this local music store, Charlottesville Music, and Scotty and Justin, his brother, and Corey from Bush. So many of us just sort of hung out this store. It was really kind of interesting how that store bred, you know, so many musicians that are out there doing it. You know, even there's a ton of Nashville musicians that used to frequent there. Devin Malone, Mike Meadows with Taylor Swift, Amos Heller, Taylor Swift. I mean, it's like we had all these people coming through the store, and it was such a neat time to be in Charlottesville. Dave Matthews had just gotten signed around those days, so there was a lot of excitement because until that moment, nobody famous came from our town. And then Dave Matthews comes out, and he's like not just a success, but he's a huge success. And so it gave all of us hope that, like, oh man, if you have a dream, you can do it. That was his dream, and he did do it. So if he can do it, we can do it. You know? It was it was cool, and it really instilled hope into every single musician in Charlottesville that if your desire was to be in the music industry on a grand scale, it was attainable. You know, it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I remember my boss at the music store, sort of I worked there for 5 years. This was probably at about, you know, the end of my stint, like, you know, a month or two before I left. But basically my boss, Billy, who I really admire and has been a mentor to me, he came, I remember I went to him and I told him that my band, My Dog Lucy, had a gig at CBGB's in New York City, on which we played there a lot, but it was like coming up maybe 2 weeks down the road or something on a Saturday. And I remember he had always let me have off, but this one particular day, I don't know if he had a rough day or something, but he told me, he said, Brian, honestly, man, he goes, I think it's cool that you're doing this, but I hired a salesman, and you're, you know, if you're gone, you can't be a salesman. And as much as it hurt me to hear that, by the way, that's one of my favorite jobs I ever had. So that really hurt me to hear that. But to his credit, I totally understand where he's coming from, man. He's running a business, you know, and I was just a dumb kid. I was a dumb kid at that point.
You wanted to be the rocker.
But in some weird way, he made me choose what I was going to do. I mean, I literally had to go back that night and go home and think about what I wanted to do and give him an answer the next day. And I remember I came back and I told him that I was leaving, that I needed to do that. And I took a job working at a grocery store as a produce manager. Not that I wanted to do produce or anything like that, but they let me off whenever I wanted to be off, and it paid very well. It was like 17 or 18 bucks an hour, and I could do whatever I wanted. So it was like it was a great situation. It was not cool like working at the music store. It really wasn't, but it was like all about the sacrifice, you know, making that sacrifice for your goal. And then I'm glad I did, because I got a lot of experience during that time of how to be a performer, you know. So, and that's also during the time when I met Chris. Chris's band used to open up for my band in Charlottesville, and that's kind of how the whole Brian Chris story started. Yeah. So did you hop on after he was on Idol or before? Yeah, I was after Idol, because Jeremy Brady was the original guitar player that was in my position. Okay. And Jeremy I don't know, he just didn't. He was there for 2 or 3 months, something like that, and just decided it wasn't for him. And but Jeremy stuck around for a couple days after I was around, and he was a super nice guy, man. But yeah, I get it. If it's not your thing and your heart's not in it, I totally understand. And you know, it worked out. I mean, it changed my life in many ways. I wouldn't be sitting in a studio right now. There's so many things, or maybe I would. Maybe it just wouldn't be as cool, or I wouldn't have been able to do as many cool things. You'd probably be the record producer guy. You'd be like Chris Lord-Alge. You know, you'd probably go for that's full time for you. Yeah, you know, and you're a musician. You're probably right. You're probably right. But yeah, it's
what are you working on right now? You can leak out there anything like bands you're recording right now, or
I'm working with the artist from New Jersey, this girl Sid. She's really cool, like a kind of indie-ish rock kind of thing, but very cool stuff. She's got like a bluesy kind of voice, which is neat in this rock format. Doing that, I'm working on Bobby McClendon's new country record. We're almost wrapped on that. Got one more tune to do. We'll see. we keep saying one more song, and then he's like, maybe we'll do another one. So it's because of the quarantine happened, and then it was like, okay, well, we're not touring anytime soon, so should I just beef up, the record and make sure all the songs I want are on there, So interesting.
Well,
been interesting, but I'm working on a couple of secret projects too. So
I know you guys just released some beer or something like that on your website.
The Daughtry beer just came out, and I had the honor of doing all the artwork for that. For those who don't know, I'm also a graphic designer. I do that a lot. I do that a lot. It's
I thought so based on the colors, because I know you like to use certain colors.
Yeah, I do. With that beer can, I was sort of tying in the As You Are theme to the beer with that logo. So, but that was kind of the goal with that one. This, as to whether that will tie in with the new stuff we're working on, I don't know. But I love the way it looks, and I did a lot of research before I started actually making that beer can wrap. I looked at a lot of other artist beers that were out there. I wanted to see what kinds of things they had done, and
there's a lot of black ones. Like I've seen Megadeth, Metallica has one. There's a lot of black and white, black and red, gray. There was one with like a matte color, which is kind of cool.
Yep. There's some great designs out there. I love it, man. It was sort of tricky to settle on something, like which direction I wanted to go when I sat down to work on that artwork. I actually sort of was stumped at first. I was like, I don't know what I want to do on this, So, but I had to literally like go through several kind of rough designs of different things to figure out like this direction. It's more. I think it would be better to go this direction rather than that direction. And that's typical with me. Especially like when I'm
consider,
Yeah, no, I mean that's normal in the design business. You usually have to turn in about 5 presentations so you can narrow down something,
Yeah.
So but I love it, man. I've been into art long before music, so they all work together and play nicely together. I love it when I get to do the production and do the artwork for the record, because I feel like it's coming from a very real place, because I know this music in and out, and then to demonstrate it through art or design is just such a cool extension of the production of the record. It's really neat. So that doesn't happen all the time, and it's probably a blessing, because it would be like, it would be a lot on my plate.
But
I do.
You're a one man stop, so it's like if they don't have to hire somebody, that charges gazillions, to do artwork, you got the artwork, you got studio. So if anybody needs artwork, album stuff, studio recordings, hit up Brian. I mean, I'm here also. I'm not be here. And I mean, I don't know what else you do, but that's a couple things he offers and stuff. I know everybody. I go, even when I produce this stuff, I go, if you want extra guitar stuff, I go, Brian's around. I go, he'll do it. And they're like, you think he would? And I go, yeah, I don't think because they're like, I haven't really thing. They think sometimes, like if I mention you or Lester, because I use Lester for drums a lot from Kelly Clarkson's band. And I go, they don't have the mentality of like, I'm not going to play on that,
Yeah, I'm really not, man. I love making music. I mean, it's I'm stating the obvious here, but it's definitely a passion of mine, and I feel very blessed that any day I get to wake up and do it, it's amazing, And the days that you make money doing are just cherry on top. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a good thing, and I'm not too precious. I love I love being creative on music that I've never heard before. That's also exciting to me. It's like it's fresh. It's like I have no preconceived notion about it. Song shows up in my email that I need to do a session on, and I literally go with a lot of my first impressions based on when I first hear it. Literally, I just did this yesterday for somebody. Just song comes in, never heard it before. I listen through it, and then I just go right to town, get on it, and go with. I always say this to people: trust your instincts. Whatever your first instinct is, it's usually right. Yeah. So go with it. Yeah, that's what I do. I try to trust my instincts on these things and not
overthink it.
Yeah, and I'm a great overthinker. It's sort of one of my great skills.
I overthink my stuff wicked. Other people's, I'm really relaxed. I don't know what it is.
Well, because you never, for yourself, you never know if it's good enough to put out. Could I have done better? There's always that question. But also remember the word record. It's a recording in time. It's an example of you at that moment.
Yeah. That version of it.
Yeah, don't ever lose sight of that, man. My buddy Emerson Hart yesterday was talking about he did a Facebook, not Facebook, Instagram discussion yesterday where he was talking about he put on Led Zeppelin records and they weren't perfect. They weren't even close to perfect. But he loved those records, but there was moments that captivated him, so much because they were not perfect. And I tend to agree with him, because these days we auto-tune and time correct, down to the T. And I find myself sort of fighting that a lot of times, like, don't do it. Don't do it. Choose to not do it sometimes because there's something special that happens in those imperfections in the recordings, So depending on the project, if you're doing a pop project, you want it tight, obviously. That's just sort of the sound of a pop project. But if you're talking about like a kind of swanky 70s rock style band, you don't want those drums like locked to the grid. That's not what you want. It's not the vibe will go away the minute that you do that, Same with
a lot of those players don't play that way. They play in between the click, sort of. It's off and on, and
exactly.
Not just.
It's important to remember that. I think a lot of us get sucked into that grid and the auto tune and making sure everything's perfect. And I understand that like when you hear a vocal on the radio that's not tuned perfectly, it maybe stands out to you. But maybe that's not.
That's what we're used to now.
Yeah, exactly, because our ears have grown accustomed to that. That's right.
I don't do that. I say I don't auto-tune my stuff, and I don't auto-tune anybody that I record. So you're going to the wrong person. I do believe in timing drums here and there, even little guitar stuff, but vocals should be as polished but as raw as possible.
That's cool, man. I love that.
I think.
That's great.
So this is the first time you've done Instagram Live, right?
No, I feel like a caveman. I didn't know how it worked. I kept asking you questions. How does this work?
What do I do? Is there a button?
But look,
man, you can the companies and stuff you're endorsed by. If you reach out to them, they'll let you like if you play a song or just like do an interview or something like that. They'll let you do this, and it's. People on my side are seeing it. People on your side are seeing it. So that way, it's all like a cross thing going on.
Yeah,
it's great.
No, it is. It's really cool. I've been seeing there's this sort of writers' night here in Nashville called Whiskey Jam, and they've been doing this thing since they couldn't do their real Whiskey Jam in town. They went to like a online format of the thing. Basically, what it is every week, every 2 nights every week. They have writers come on and play, and it's like a tradition here in Nashville. But they've been doing it all online, and they changed the name of it to Risky Jam rather than Whiskey Jam, which is really cool. And they do it the same way that we're doing this right now. So the host Ward kind of introduces the artist, and then the artist plays a song, and then they'll have somebody else come into the video, a new writer. And I just think it's such a neat thing, and I mean. It's very cool that we do have this technology now during a time like this. I don't know about you, Frank, but this has been a pretty big awakening, for me creatively, marketing wise. Like so many ideas have came to me during this time, probably because it's not contaminated with noise all the time, right? Like distractions. Mm-hmm. So it's been really cool. Very grateful for the opportunity to have this time at home with my family, have this time to focus on my art, and still I've been able to work on other people's art. So yeah, you're right. Maybe if I wasn't playing at Daughtry, maybe I would just be doing this full time. I don't know.
Don't give up the Daughtry gig.
No, I love that gig, man. I love that gig. I do. I love that gig.
I'll fill in for like an hour.
Hey, rule number one: you never let anybody fill in. Otherwise, somebody will come along better. You know.
Nope.
So yeah, man, it's I've got it. I've had it pretty good, man. I've had it pretty good. Playing a great band and get to work on music that I like every day. So it's a good thing.
Definitely. Everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. We got Brian CRADDOCK. If you need artwork for your stuff, you got albums, advertisement stuff. If you need songs recorded, produced, he produced my song, Break These Chains, and been playing guitar and some stuff for 5 years now.
I know, isn't that crazy? It seems like it was just yesterday, Frank.
Yeah,
it does.
5 years ago.
Time flies, buddy. Yeah. Time flies.
I still think that Break These Chains is a couple years old, but it's not.
I know. It's not. We did that a while ago, man. We did that a while ago. But yeah, it was.
But someday, like you said, records in time. Like I feel that way with all the songs I've done. That someday there'll be I call it the label version, even though it doesn't really exist. But it's the it version. That's what it is, and then you move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I can still see them that way. It's like I think the song we did was great, and like here I had a TV commercial for a couple weeks. There's only so much you can do not being signed to a label, and I haven't gotten signed ever, stuff like that. So it's like I still feel like, well, it hasn't really been on the radio or anything, so it's still current. It's still new. But then you reach the press guys and stuff, they're like, it's 5 years old, dude. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, they always want the new exciting thing. I get it. And I think,
I'll just redo it then.
Yeah, just keep re-recording it.
We'll go in there for round 2. We'll get we'll do something different.
The disco version.
It's funny, though. Disco. It's funny you said country because my cousin's been bugging me to do a country song. So maybe someday I'll hit you up with that.
Do it, man. Do it. It's fun. It's funny, man. People, my friends that aren't country fans, they always ask me, they're like, what do you like doing that? And I'm like, you know what, man? I don't care what I'm working on, man. As long as it's music, I love working on music, man. I can literally go down the rabbit hole on any style. I have such an appreciation for all types of music. Yeah. I'm serious.
Megadeth, one of your favorite bands,
Dude, yeah. I mean, that was like the beginning for me, Megadeth. But it's funny how like starting with a band like Megadeth leads you down a road to where one day you're producing jazz records. You know what I mean? Like just so opposite of where you started. But it's a sign of growth as well, right? Like you always try new things. I'm always trying to expand the toolbox, so I
think as an artist, you always do that. Yeah.
Yep. And then you find the things that you love while you're working on these things. You meet new musicians that are out of your little safe zone, and you're like, these people are cool, man. I love it, And so that's what it's been like from the recording world for me. It's been really, really cool because I've been able to meet some people that I probably would have never met had I not done this,
I agree.
About it.
You would have been just a guitarist that I would have met, and that was it.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Yep. They're like, whatever, man. But I'm going to be mailing out your CDs probably in a week or two, so within a couple weeks you'll get it. I threw in an extra one in there in case you want to give that one away.
Of course. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You know what? Hey, Frank. You know what's funny?
All right.
But you were playing your tune right when I logged on, And it's funny because I could see you before you saw me, and I heard the song, and I'm like, I swear to God, I'm like, man, that it was like a little guitar theme going on, and I was like, man, that sounds really cool, man.
That was you. Oh.
No, I remember thinking, I was like, that sounds like something I would play. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Turns out I would play that. Turns out. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I can definitely tell it's your style. Like, I don't know, you have your own style. I can just tell, you know? But it's cool that, especially with my songs, it meshes, you know, the stuff that you were doing. Because I didn't really have much thrown in there. But, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do personally in the future. I actually think I'm going to do, like, 20 or 30 licensing songs. So I'm probably going to work on that kind of stuff. And nobody's going to hear it. But I'm just going to try to get it licensed, and maybe I'll do a single or something like that in between. But
you ever
I just make EPs.
Do you ever mess with like scoring for like motion picture type stuff?
Yeah, I call it rock score because I'm not like a Jerry Goldsmith or somebody like that. That's
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, more like John Carpenter style.
No, that's cool though. I just think it's another area where you can, not you specifically, but anybody that's in the recording business, so to speak, can expand their horizons and try some different stuff. It's really neat to like step outside that world of like, okay, I'm going to put my guitar down on this. I'm not going to use my guitar. I'm going to use the keys.
You can break the rules. I'm using I made 2 demo tracks I'm starting with, and I'm going to go back and I go, I'm going to put so much freaking reverb on those drums. That's going to kill your ears. You can do that.
Yeah, you don't need to abide by any rules at all. It's really, I love that, man. My friend Brett, I've been doing like scoring for his stuff. It's not movies. They're like they're not infomercials either. It's like he works for a lot of like pharmaceutical companies, and like a lot of times when a drug is first introduced to market, they have to give the doctors all this video. It's like a long 15, 20 minute video that goes with the product. And basically he'll hire me to do all the sound design on it and the music that goes with it. And there's usually about 10 to 15 different musical segments that are within this 15 to 20 minute piece. But then there's also like sound effects and stuff that go on there too. Like something pops across the screen and there's something that goes bring or a boop or some sound. And so
you make really, those?
I do all that stuff, man. Somebody, I can't remember who it was. Somebody hired me like two or 3 years ago to, can't even remember who it was. Somebody hired me to do a Law and Order like sound effect. Like that was all I had to do was go like a toot. Yeah. But it was funny because I remember like going through all these sounds, trying to find the right sounds for this like.
It's still can be a little challenge.
Anyway, God. It's fun. I love messing with sound. Is like it's just so cool. It is. It's just so cool.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, I'll have you back sometime maybe in the future when some stuff opens up here and see what's going on. And hopefully everybody out there is staying safe. And, hopefully we'll see Brian back here in concert sometime. And
sooner than later.
My future's unknown right now. We'll see.
Yeah.
Getting into some weird crap. No. We'll see. So I'll be in touch, and everybody, the new CD for me is "Bring On the Fear," and Brian, he's got that new single out from Daughtry right now. You guys can download
alive,
And beer. I don't drink beer either, so
I don't anymore.
You have to think of a soda or something.
Hey, but it makes a nice collector's item, though. Link.
Yeah, it's true. I tell you. So I got all your records and stuff, the posters that you guys got and signed, all on my wall, stuff we worked on.
That's awesome, man.
I'd have to take the camera around, but I got a bunch of stuff over there.
I can see it. Yeah, I see a bunch of it, actually. Yep.
You guys are all there, in there. I got some more on this wall.
Nice, man. Killing it.
All right.
Well, Frank,
thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
We went a little bit over, but that's all right.
I was when I was born, I was given the gift of gab, so that's all right. Bad about anything.
Some people say because they watched our interview, they go, probably when you and Brian get together, like you a little bit longer than normal. I'm like, usually.
Yes.
It just happens. We got a lot of time. That's good.
For sure. And thank you.
All right, man. Well,
brother.
No problem. Just keep rocking, and I'll let you know what I have going on next to try to incorporate something with you here.
Please
do. I might be taking a trip down someday to the south. We're going to look at houses and stuff for
cool.
Tennessee, Virginia area. So
good.
I'll hit you up when I'm down there somewhere.
Please do, man. Definitely do, man. Definitely. And I'll be looking for those CDs too, man. I'll be looking for the CDs.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks guys.
Thank you.
See you later.
See ya.